Okay, but really, haven't we all been there? Like, you're on the job, right? The pressure is on, and you have to, like, double-check something, a crucial step. And you know you need to look at the SOP.
Ugh.
But it's this giant wall of text, like, longer than, I don't know, a Tolstoy novel or
The
something.
worst.
Yeah. So today's deep dive is all about, well, taming those SOPs, the ones in the pharmaceutical world. Because good news, they don't have to be so painful.
And it's not just about saving everyone a headache, in pharma, where everything has to be so precise. Well, a clunky SOP can actually have some pretty big consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking patient safety, making sure everything's compliant, even a company's bottom line. It's all connected.
Okay, so before we get into all the really cool stuff, like how AI is changing the game for SOPs, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What exactly is an SOP? And why are they so important in pharma?
At its core, an SOP is like these super detailed instructions for any task that could affect the quality or the safety of a pharmaceutical product. It could be anything, really mixing the compounds, the tests they run, how they package the final product, all of it. It needs a really clear step-by-step guide. That way, they make sure it's done the same way every time and, well, minimize any errors.
Right, consistency is key. But that's where these old school SOPs, I mean, they're made with good intentions, but they kind of miss the mark. They get so bogged down, the jargon, the language, so many details. It's just overwhelming, especially for someone new to the job, or honestly, anyone who wants to just get things done.
Exactly.
Right. It's information overload.
Totally.
Think about it. You're racing against the clock to finish a batch, and you need to double check something. Like a specific temperature, right?
Right.
But you're flipping through pages and pages. The clock is ticking, and you feel the pressure mounting. That right there. That's the kind of frustration those outdated SOPs can cause. And it has a ripple effect. I mean, it affects your work, could even impact patient safety. It's that crucial.
Yeah. And then there's training new employees, like handing them a stack of SOPs is like handing them a phone book.
Right.
Not the best way to get them excited about the job, right? Definitely not. And, when those SOPs are so complicated, it just increases the chance of mistakes happening. And it slows everything down, the whole onboarding process. And it can even mean that procedures are done differently by different teams, which is like the last thing you want when you're dealing with medications.
For sure. So how do we make SOPs actually work for the people who need them every single day? How do we make them, comprehensive and user-friendly? Well, that's where things get interesting because there are all these new technologies and approaches that are changing everything. Okay, so those old SOPs, definitely time for an upgrade, but don't worry, we've got some help. And it's seriously cool we're talking artificial intelligence.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that AI isn't here to get rid of SOPs altogether. Think of it more like we're bringing in this superpowered assistant, right? To help make the SOPs we do have way better, clearer, easier to use, maybe even a little less scary looking.
So AI is here to work with us, not replace us.
Exactly. And NLP, that's natural language processing, it's like a game changer. So imagine, right? AI takes your company's SOP, let's say it's for making a specific drug, and it can instantly see that 3 whole paragraphs are basically saying the same thing, just in different ways. Then it's like, hold on, this jargon, no one's going to understand this, and it flags it. And finally, it'll suggest rearranging the whole section to make it flow better, so it's crystal clear.
Wow, so it's like having an editor, a translator, and like a reorganization guru all in one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And the best part, NLP can usually make those SOPs way shorter without actually leaving out any of the important stuff. Like what used to be 50 pages, now it's 20. Everyone wins.
Now that's what I call efficiency, especially like you were saying when you're in the moment and every second counts. But AI can do even more than that, right? What about this whole modular thing I keep hearing about?
Oh yeah, modularity is huge. Okay, so picture this. Instead of having this one massive SOP document, right? AI can separate it into these smaller, more manageable chunks, like building blocks.
Okay.
So say you're on the manufacturing floor and you need to double check the procedure for temperature. You can go straight to that section. You don't have to dig through all this other stuff that's not relevant at that moment.
Okay, that's kind of brilliant. It's like a choose your own adventure SOP. You find exactly what you need when you need it. No more getting lost in a sea of text.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even cooler. AI is amazing,
Right.
right? But it's just one piece of this puzzle. There are all these other new tools out there.
Like what? Tell me everything.
Okay, well, there are video SOPs, pretty self-explanatory. Instead of just reading about a procedure, you can actually watch someone do it. For people who learn best by seeing, game changer. especially for those tasks where seeing it makes all the difference.
Oh, totally. A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So a video, even better. Plus, so much easier to remember something you've seen.
Absolutely. And then there are these tools, rapid content authoring tools. Basically, they make it so much easier to create and update SOPs. Because, well, let's face it, things in pharma move fast, right?
Right.
Regulations change, there are new best practices. Being able to update your SOPs quickly, essential.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, it's the
Mhm.
difference between trying to update a website by messing with the code versus just using a user-friendly platform.
Exactly. Perfect analogy.
Hmm.
And then finally, we can't forget about the digital training platforms. They're becoming like the go-to place for everything related to SOPs.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Imagine a platform that brings together all these tools. So you've got your video SOPs, plus interactive quizzes, even simulations where employees can practice procedures virtually, but like in a safe environment. And the platform tracks their progress, sees where they might need more help maybe, makes learning way more engaging, way more effective.
So we're moving away from this idea of SOPs being like a necessary evil, right?
Mhm.
And toward this new reality where they're actually a really valuable tool for learning, for improving skills, even just for boosting confidence.
Yes. And the coolest part, this isn't some far-off thing. Companies are seeing real results from these modern SOP approaches right now.
Well, you know what they say, seeing is believing. All right, you've teased it enough time to bring on the success stories. Let's talk about how real companies like Eli Lilly and Merck have transformed their SOPs and reaped the rewards. First up, Eli Lilly. What was their experience?
Eli Lilly is a great example of a company that recognized the drawbacks of traditional SOPs and decided to take action. They were dealing with exactly what we've been discussing, information overload from text-heavy SOPs, leading to increased errors and a sluggish onboarding process for new employees. Imagine being a new hire, eager to contribute, but feeling overwhelmed by these massive documents.
Not exactly a recipe for success. So what did they do differently?
They took a multi-pronged approach, incorporating AI-powered simplification, visual elements, and a more modular structure. They used natural language processing to streamline their SOPs, making them clearer and more concise, and incorporated visuals like diagrams and flowcharts to make complex information easier to grasp.
Okay, so they modernized the format. But what about the results? Did they see a real impact?
The results were significant and measurable. By simplifying their SOPs and making them more user-friendly, they saw a remarkable 40% reduction in SOP-related errors. That's huge. Not only that, but their onboarding process became 50% faster, meaning new employees were up to speed and contributing much more quickly. That's a win for the employees and a win for Eli Lilly's bottom line.
Those are some impressive numbers. It sounds like simplifying SOPs wasn't just about making things look prettier, it had a real measurable impact on their operations. Okay, now let's talk about Merck. They were facing a slightly different challenge, right?
That's right. Merck's primary concern was consistency. They had a lengthy onboarding process for new operators, which was leading to variations in how procedures were being followed across different teams.
And I imagine that lack of consistency, especially in a highly regulated industry like pharma, can have some serious implications.
Absolutely. Even slight deviations from established SOPs can compromise product quality, put patient safety at risk, and even lead to regulatory issues down the line. Merck understood this, and they recognized that a standardized, easily digestible approach to SOPs was crucial.
So how did they tackle this challenge? Did they also turn to AI?
While AI was part of the solution, Merck went all in on digital training platforms. They created interactive SOP modules that were engaging, easy to understand, and most importantly, standardized across all teams. These modules included videos, quizzes, and even simulations to ensure that everyone was on the same page, regardless of their learning style or previous experience.
Okay, so they brought everyone together on one platform with a unified approach to learning and applying SOPs. Did they see positive results?
The results were impressive. Merck observed a significant 60% reduction in training time for new hires, meaning they were able to get their operators up to speed and confidently following their procedures much faster. But beyond the time savings, the real win was the improved consistency in how SOPs were being applied. This led to greater confidence in their processes, reduced risk, and ultimately a higher standard of quality for their products.
It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as making SOPs easier to understand and follow can have such a ripple effect throughout an entire organization.
It really speaks to the power of clear communication, accessible information, and leveraging technology to empower employees. When people have the tools and resources they need to succeed, everyone benefits.
So you've gone from deciphering dense documents to interactive modules. AI-powered simplification, and video-based learning. It feels like we're on the cusp of a whole new era for SOPs, one that's more engaging, more efficient, and ultimately more human-centered.
And that's what's so exciting about all of this. By embracing these new technologies and approaches, we're not just making SOPs less of a chore, we're unlocking their potential as valuable tools for learning,